Welcome back to Storytime with Sean. We've got more entitled people who think they can take your stuff, but don't you dare give them consequences. Story 1 is titled, Entitled Woman Tries to Take My Dog From Me, Has No Idea I'm Friendly with Local Business Owners. I had someone once try to take my blue heeler Sophie from me when I was out in town with her. Background: at the time of the story, I was 19 and my younger brother was 6. I'd take Sophie out with me and pick him up from school. Then we'd go to the restaurant next to where my father worked as a pharmacist. When my father was done at work, about an hour after we got there, we'd all carpool home together. The little brother would take his food to the little arcade machine they had in the back and blow his allowance on it, and I'd go outside to eat with Sophie while reading on my tablet. I go to place our order, including something for Sophie to eat, and halfway through the order, the server points behind me and says in a panicked voice, "Someone's trying to grab Sophie." I dropped what I was doing, turned around, and saw this heavyset lady trying to corral Sophie around the table with one hand on her leash and the other hand trying to grab her collar. I had people ask me if she was for sale before. She was, and still is, a very beautiful dog, even at 16 years old now. But nobody had just tried to take her before this. I rushed toward the door, threw it open so hard it nearly cracked the glass pane. Meanwhile, the cashier was calling the owner out of the back of the kitchen. After I got out the door, I demanded, "The heck are you messing with my dog for?" The lady responded with a sweet voice, "I was going to take her home," like she wasn't trying to steal someone's beloved pet. I lost my crap and screamed at her, "You get your hands away from my dog or there's going to be police involved and it won't be for you." I was and still am a big guy. I'm 6'1" and about 280 pounds. She jerked her hand away like she'd been stung, but decided to try to start ranting at me about how you obviously don't care for the poor thing if you're leaving it tied out here in the sun. You don't deserve this sweet little thing. The nerve of that lady. She'd been caught red-handed and she was still trying to get my dog. At this point, I'd had it. "Lady," I began, trying and failing to keep calm. I've had anger management issues since I was small, so this wasn't easy. She's in a shady area, and I set a water bowl down for her, which she hasn't even touched yet. I've been in the restaurant for about a minute before you decided to try to abduct her, and we eat outside of this establishment all the time. At this point, I was ready to explode, but I kept as calm as I could as I grabbed Sophie's leash and unclipped it from the table. She immediately hid behind me and I tried to back off. But this entitled lady was not done yet. "You don't deserve such a beautiful dog. I want her for my kids to play with," she demanded. At this, I sensed an opening to de-escalate the situation. "That's a terrible idea," I started. Having an idea how to get out of the situation? This breed is notorious for being bad with kids. This is true of the breed, but not with Sophie. She's always loved kids. And she's mixed with Australian Shepherd, which are generally great with kids in my experience, but this lady didn't need to know that. "What are you talking about? She's been so friendly every time you're down here." This raised every alarm bell and red flag in my head at the same time. She's been watching me and Sophie for at least a week or two to know how often I was down there and know our routine. She might have even planned this out in advance. This is a cattle dog. They're bred to work with half-wild cattle, and they're known as healers because of how they bite at the heels of people and animals. They're not like Lassie. I started ranting. To be honest, I never knew if she understood the reference. And it doesn't matter anyway. This is my dog and you're not getting her. Now leave us alone before the police get here. The staff have already called them. This was a bluff. I had no idea what the staff was doing, but it made her stop for a minute. And that was long enough for me to get back to the door and open it before I asked the owner, who had come out of the back, "Hey owner," not using his real name without permission, "mind if I wait in here with Sophie for a bit? Someone just tried to take her while she was out front." The owner took one look at me and at Sophie trying to hide from the lady and replied, "Head into the back, I'll let you know when it's safe." I took Sophie and headed into the area next to the arcade machine where she cuddled up to my little brother, who she's always been attached to. Meanwhile, I heard the owner start telling the lady off. She even tried to claim I stole her dog. Conversation went like this: "He just took my dog." Nice try, but he's a regular customer and he's had that dog for 2 years now. I've known her since she was a puppy. "I'm not leaving until I get that dog." In the most quiet and collected voice I've heard him use, it honestly made him more intimidating. I've never seen him angry before, and it was terrifying. "No, you're leaving right now. And we have you on camera trying to take his dog." "This isn't over. I want to speak to the owner." "Yes, it is. I'm the owner, and you're banned, both from my store," for some reason he never called it a restaurant, "and all the other stores in town." "You can't do that. You have no authority." "Yes, I can. I'm head of the local council, and I'm making sure they all see what you did. If you leave now, you should get away before his father gets here. I've already called them, and he's not a nice man when his family is threatened." This was a bluff. He never called my father, but I didn't learn that until years later. Dad was a true papa bear when it came to us kids, even threatening the local deputy once when he came into our house when he wasn't home. But she wasn't going to leave without getting in one last blustering half threat. "Fine, I'll leave, but this isn't the end of this." After which, she stormed out. It turned out it was the end of it. The lady got kicked out of all the local owned stores and had to do all her shopping at the chain store in the next town. She later moved out of the area when people found out the type of person she was and stopped being nice to her. Nowadays, the ice cream shop has been sold to new owners. The old owners retired a few years later and are living a comfortable life in the Washington Peninsula. I still talk with them online every now and then. I gave the wife my reading tablet so she could enjoy her books more often as a retirement present. My father is also retired and spends most of his time around town hanging out and playing with his friends in a blues band. And my brother and I work at our local grocer. Sophie still likes kids and the sweet things in life, but we've had to cut back on how much she gets. She's getting old and having trouble getting around now. If people show interest, I'll try to find one of our photos from when we'd stay out front of the store eating together. TLDR, lady tried to steal my dog from the front of the store and got kicked out of all the local owned stores in the town when my friend the store owner turns out to be the head of the local council. Some more details. This happened in a small community about an hour and a half east of Seattle, Washington. The locals were and still are a rather tight-knit community, and everyone out here knows each other. Most of the longer-lived stores here used to be passed from parent to child. My family was no different, but Mom decided to pursue her own career when she was younger and sold her part of the family business to her siblings. Dad grew up in a similar community in Idaho, so he's big on the small-town values. Helping neighbors when they need it, taking care of others, etc. I was a third-generation local brat, and most of the area knew my family since my uncle still ran one of the larger stores. Sadly, people from the larger urban areas are starting to migrate out this way, so a lot of the smaller businesses are being driven under by large chain stores. For all pet owners out there, I'll say this: get your animal licensed and chipped if possible. If you can't get them licensed, keep a photo and vet records of them when you have to prove it's your animal. And never make my mistake and leave your pet unattended in a public place. Edit: cleaned up some grammar errors and added more context. Edit 2: turned out I can't post pictures in this subreddit, so I'll put it as my profile picture. I also posted some pictures in my profile. Edit 3: this story blew up more than I could have ever expected. I appreciate the support in the comments and now know how close I came to losing my dog, along with some nightmare fuel of what could have happened to her. Edit 4. A friend showed me how to link the thread with her picture. I went to the original post to see if I could find pictures of Sophie, but the account has been deleted. From the comments, it looks like she was right. She is or was a beautiful dog. It looks like consequences are the kryptonite of entitled people. You can tell them no all day long. You can try to shame them all you want. But letting something negative happen to them is the only way to stop them. As soon as that woman found out that the police were coming or she was going to get banned from the stores, that's when she exit stage left, and then she basically got blackballed out of town. Wow. Those people really know how to handle the entitled. We're gonna wrap this episode up with a funny story from Petty Revenge. Story 2 is titled, Bought a car that turned out to be a lemon. Seller ignored me, so I sent him a text. Back about 10 years ago, I drove 3 hours to buy a very specific car. Got an hour home when the car died, luckily at a garage. I had a mechanic look at it and he said it was obvious the seller had bodged a problem with piston rings and would cost more than I paid to fix. Rang the seller to discuss it, but he ignored my calls, refuses to reply to text, and I was very polite, just really wanted to ask him about it. No abuse was sent. After a couple of days, I got fed up and remembered that this guy had a very old phone, one that only accepts text messages of a certain amount of characters, then had to be split into another message. I, on the other hand, had an iPhone, so I copied and pasted the entire works of Shakespeare into a message and sent it. Apparently, it took a week before he could use his phone again without a text message interrupting him. They came every second or so, anytime he turned his phone on. Eventually, got a refund and he got his car back. That's a pretty ingenious way of getting the attention you need. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Storytime with Sean. We watched a woman who tried to steal and got ran out of town, then another guy who sells a car and won't have a conversation, so OP made sure he wasn't going to use his phone at all. As usual, I have a blast reading these stories. If you like hearing them, I hope you keep coming back and telling your friends about it. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. The community is growing. Before you know it, we'll be at 100 people, and maybe by the end of the year, if I'm lucky, we'll be at 1,000. You could be giving any content creator on this platform your time, and you're spending 15 minutes with me. I truly appreciate it. By now, YouTube might be showing you some other options for videos that I have available. They're all funny and they're all good. Anyone you click will not be a waste of your time. Thanks so much for watching my videos. Keep liking, keep sharing, and subscribing, and I will see you next time at Storytime with Sean. Have a great one.